Yo, what's up? What's going on, everyone? Joe and Mike, buildassetsonline.com. Hope everyone is keeping tugging along out there. We're setting new fashion trends today. We got Mike. You said that I do all the stuff that the Brooklyn hipsters do, ironically, but I do it first. So check this one out.
You gotta do a fit check. Yeah, stand up.
Nightgown. What is this called? A fashion hall?
Where'd you get that at?
I got it as a gift from our parents.
They know what you're looking for. Oh wow, that really goes all the way down.
Yeah,
that's what I'm saying, Joe. You slap a pair of Yeezys on the bottom, and whatever it is you're gonna wear up from there, it looks like you're making a statement. So
I call
you're
this
wearing pants.
Yeah, I got pajama pants on. I call this a T-skirt. A T-skirt.
It's pretty iconic. Yeah. And these are the types of things that you do when you don't have a real job. Imagine going into the office like that.
Yeah,
the boss would have a stroke.
Elon Musk wouldn't want me to work for him. He wants me to.
Oh no, definitely not.
He wants me to sleep on the factory floor, but I'm not doing that unless I can dress down at least and be comfortable.
Yeah, to work for Elon, you got to be committed to a particular mission. That's what he's good at.
Yeah,
is getting people to commit their entire lives to one particular goal. And that's really the opposite of what we do. We just sit here, we set goals and we accomplish them, but really it's way more of a take it easy lifestyle. But that's why we don't have the billies. But what we do have is $17,397.14. And that's profit from just one land deal, Joe.
Yeah, so Mike, it seems like these land deals every month we're getting a big hit, but this is just one of them. I figured this one was worth talking about, so I'm gonna be asking you the question since I'm not really doing much on this. I mean, unless this is one of my postcards.
Postcards. First of all, we don't send out postcards, Joe.
Whatever.
Shows how much you know about.
I know it's not a postcard. It's a mailer.
Yeah, it's a mailer. So, yeah, I mean, we really don't talk about land that much in here, really because I don't care to talk about it. It's like we're doing it every month, and we're hitting huge deals. And this is one. Honestly, this is like a regular deal that happens, every month for sure. And I didn't want to throw too big a number out and scare people, so we're going to talk about one that is it's accessible. And Joe, what would you do with $17,000 if you got that off a land deal?
Well, I would hopefully invest it into more land deals because I would like to achieve financial independence. And while this is a nice chunk of change from one deal, I mean, let's see if we can get some more. So,
well, before we dive in, what I'll say is we do discuss how land works in our financial portfolio, our online business portfolio at buildassetsonline.com/playbook. We're going to be opening up our land course very, very soon. Like I said, you don't hear us talk about it too much because we're here making stacks with it. Joe, you look like a drive-through person now. You look like a drive-through at White Castle. We don't talk about this very much because we're just off on the side doing it, and it's pretty easy. And I don't know why we don't talk about it more. We're going to talk about it today. But if you want to see exactly how we incorporate it into our online business portfolio, go to buildassetsonline.com/playbook, free course. And like I said, if you get on there, you'll be the first notified when we actually reopen our land course once again. So yes, let us dive in. So I broke it down. I think it's 5 steps to any land deal and for this particular deal. So I jumbled a bunch of things into this first step, and I called it send out mail. Really, if you have an established land business, you have a website up and, LLC, whatever, that's going to come before. And then obviously to send out a mail, you have to pick a county, which we're not going to get into here. And I also didn't want to get too deep into that because if you look here where it says pricing mailer, I wrote spray and pray method. And if you go online, you look at what other people talk about in terms of land pricing and all that. People get very specific. They get very crazy over pricing deals with land investment. So we have some people in here. Give a little chat just so we know who's here, what's going on, and if we have land people here, if we have dropshipping people here, because for people that aren't familiar with land, the way that it works is I'm sending out letters to vacant landowners, and let's say you have a 3-acre property in, I don't know, some county in Washington State. And I think, all right, I want to buy this property. I think I can sell it for $30,000. I'm going to send you a letter for $10,000. And what I'm looking for is people who are in certain life situations. Maybe they got the property from their parents and then their kids don't want it now and they're just sitting on it and they're paying taxes and they say, all right, I don't want to deal with this. I'm getting rid of it. So we make it easy for them to, get rid of it. They don't have to list it on the market, wait months, pay realtors, etc. Cash deal, done. So with this particular deal, the reason I wanted to highlight it was because when I sent this mail out to this specific county, I screwed up. Usually there's research that's done when it comes to picking a county, yada, yada, yada. I picked this county. I already downloaded, the vacant landowners, whatever. And I realized like this doesn't fit any of my normal criteria. There was some error with like the realtor sites that I used to get my data, but I already had a bunch of landowner information. So I said, screw it. I'm just going to send out 25% of the comparables in the area, and I let it rip. Usually we do more like 35% these days, but I was so unsure of what was going on that I was like, let me do 25%. That way I know whatever comes back is likely to be a winner. So we sent out 2,600 units of mail. We pay about 50 cents per unit. And that comes out to $1,300, $1,306.5.
So you
in mail
really,
cost.
so in this instance, Mike, you really sprayed and prayed on everything. So, even down to the county level, you just basically, it's almost like you threw a dart at a map and you just,
It's more like I have a dartboard in front of me and then I shot it with a shotgun.
okay.
Because people will get really specific and they'll do different pricing for like each zip code, or they'll really, dive into all these sold values for sale values and stuff like that. The way that we do pricing, which I find gets better yields than a lot of people that I talk to, is it's like a graphical method, and we illustrate this in our course. I taught you how to do this, and you were even getting deals off of it. So yeah, we basically look at the county as a whole, create a visual representation of for sale and sold values, set a multiplier. So in this case, it's 25%. And we, again, graph that out visually, and we create, a way to price. All right, 1 acre in this county, I'm going to send mail out for this. 2 acres, send mail out for this. So, yeah, the more sniper approach would be to do it by zip code. Some people would do it by even like more specific regions, like blocks. But I find that that's going to take you hours and hours and hours. It's going to be a lot of work, and it generally doesn't give more yield. So,
right.
And I also, last thing I'll say about this slide is we got 2 deals so far out of this mailer. It's hard to totally analyze like how much your cost per acquisition is, because another deal can always come in. You send this mail out once, and it can sit in somebody's drawer for years.
And you've had that happen to where someone gets the piece of mail and they call back years later.
Yeah, for like huge deals as well.
Wow.
Yeah, so just how it is. But so far, yeah, it's cost us about $650 for the 2 deals that we've gotten from this county. So step 2 is to evaluate the deals that come in. So you send out mail, the landowners get the mail, and a lot of them are going to be mad at you for what you've done. You've made an offer that's 25% of what things are normally going for. But here's the thing with land. It's easy to assess house value. You look at, because houses sell so much more than land. All right, this house is this many square feet, and this house at the same square footage down the block sold for this much, et cetera, et cetera. With land, you don't have the same level of comparables because I mean, look at this piece. This is a picture of the property that we bought. Look at the shape of it. It has some slope to it. Like all these things really affect the value of land. Not to mention, it's like realtors don't really know what a piece of land is going to sell for. And even we don't know what a piece of land is going to sell for. It is a bit of speculation. But when you're coming in at 25% of what you've seen things sell for, it's pretty likely that you're going to win. And that's how we approach this. And that's why it's such a great investment strategy. Because, I mean, in reality, if we took this money, we put it on the stock market, that's speculation as well.
I would say this is a much better speculation than the stock market, because if you're coming in at 25%, you're actually getting something that is, at worst case, you're going to break even on it. With the stock market, if you're buying individual stocks, you could lose a lot very quickly.
And that's what I'm trying to say, is that even at its worst case, if you really screw things up and you buy a piece of land and you didn't expect, I don't know, it had dead bodies on it or something, or had, toxic waste, you're probably going to get out of it with what you paid for it. It's very unlikely to lose money on a land deal. And even if you bought something for $10,000 and then you wind up selling it and making you're getting $12,000 at the end, that's a 20% return on your investment. And even if that took you a year to get that money back, a 20% return on your money is, I mean, that's pretty great for what, again, you would get in a typical investing scenario.
Oh, yeah. I mean, the stock market could basically go down 30%, 40% in a year. I mean, I know they say you average it over 20, 30 years, you're making 10, 11%, but those returns are pretty bad compared to this.
Right. And so what we do is we get in deals. People send back, all right, I'm willing to sell my property for, $7,000. And we find specific brokers in the area that specialize in vacant land. So that's what we did here. Said, hey, I'm land flipper or whatever. We get in properties all the time in this area. Do you mind checking out a couple of these properties I have in? So they went and checked it out, took pictures, said, hey, yeah, this is a good one. I'll sell it for, I'd like to list it for like $34,900. So I think with this one we paid, I'll get into that number next. Yeah. We paid $7,682.10 this property. And so I get the purchase agreement in before I even go to buy it. I have a land specialist in that area telling me, hey, I want to sell it for $34,000, $35,000. I'm thinking, all right, even if they're off by half of what they think, I'm still going to come out of this with profit. And of course, you can look at what things have sold for in the entire county. You can really backtrack like what other land has sold for. I think this is like 2 acres. So if I look at the entire county and I say, hey, I'm buying this for $7,000, $8,000. And right now for sale in this entire county, there's everything, all the land for sale is over $10,000, whether it's a half acre, 1 acre, 2 acres, whatever. Then I know with pretty good certainty that I'm going to get out of this okay.
Yeah.
So you're really stacking the odds in your favor. So we sent this to just a local title company. So they basically handled the transaction for us, make sure that we're getting what we're paying for, and paid about $2,200 in closing costs. And so we were in about $9,884.
Like we were talking about the other day about gambling and how one of our cousins who is like I guess you could say, a gambling addict of sorts, was saying how, yeah, I just need to, gamble in the right directions. And this is like a good direction to, I'm going to use quotes, gamble in. Everything in life is a gamble, but you really want to gamble in a way where you're stacking the odds in your favor, and it's an asymmetrical bet, to use the Silicon Valley terms. Buying land
Right.
in the way that we do it, 25% off what stuff is being sold for. That's an asymmetrical bet.
Right. Why put $7,000 on the roulette wheel? Put in $7,000 at the poker table when you can put in $7,000 and get a piece of dirt and let it roll. See what happens. So yeah, so we spent about almost $10,000 to acquire this property. And again, I chose this property for this example because I think this is in a lot of people's wheelhouses. If you're just starting out and you have like less than $10,000 to start a business with, then you're probably better off doing drop shipping, to be honest. Or at least if you do land investing, you have to be very lean in your approach and have your deals funded. And we do that too. But
well, let's talk about this. So if you we're thinking, I'm going to get into drop shipping or I'm going to get into land.
Mm-hmm.
What I tend to tell people is that if you have a situation where you have more time than money, then you should get into drop shipping. But if you're in a situation where you have more money and you have very little time, say you have a high paying full-time job, you got kids and you need something to where you can put the money to work and not have to worry about building the store and kind of doing all this stuff, then I think land definitely fits the bill a lot better.
Yeah, I mean, think about how much time this took to do all these steps. I maybe spent, we'll call it an hour on the pricing, the mailing process, probably less. Evaluating the deals, maybe we'll call that an hour. Really, it's not, because I'm just getting in these agreements in the mail, or they're calling me, whatever, and then I'm just sending them to the broker. They're going out, they're looking at it, they're telling me what they want to sell it at, and then that brings us to the next step, is listing the property. So the broker takes pictures of the property. Some of them even use some nice drone footage, and they put the listing up, all that, and they handle the sale for you. So I'm not doing anything there either. I'm just fielding some texts from my broker, say, hey, we got an offer in for this, or just little questions. And we listed it on April 24th. We had a full price offer by May 4th. So that was like 11 days. And what happened was I actually screwed up. This is what I was saying, Joe. I screwed up. And I did not realize that when we bought this property, the mineral rights were already sold to a previous owner. So what will happen sometimes is, I don't know, it's pretty straightforward. But if somebody has a property and they believe that it's gonna strike gold or something, then they'll go and sell it. But they'll say, hey, I'm gonna keep the rights just in case there's some diamonds under here. And that happened with this. It did not have the mineral rights, and that came up when they did the title search. It came up in our title search too, but I didn't even realize. I didn't even look. So it's not a big deal, because it's like nothing's happening. There's not there's not gold under your property, whatever. So we reduced the price down from 35,000 to 30,000.
So these new people can't mine the property.
Well, it's not that. It's that they wouldn't have the rights to the spoils.
I see. So if they did,
I guess they can't mine it either. But
right, they can't.
Like,
even
for example, well, even like let's say for like gas, like gasoline or oil, right? Mm-hmm. It is a real thing that people have property and then you do fracking on it, or you pull oil out of the ground, right? Isn't that like the whole Beverly Hillbilly show? That's the whole premise of the show. The guy was a hillbilly.
I never saw that oil. Show.
It's an old show. The whole premise is there was oil on their property.
Yeah.
And so they got rich because they owned the property. There was all this oil on it. So the gas companies come in, they take the oil, they pay you for it.
Okay, okay. Yeah, I didn't know
I
that.
mean,
But
we've even owned a few properties where we owned the gas rights, but there was like a gas well on the property, and we would get royalties from these gas companies every month.
I didn't know that. I guess there must have not been big royalties.
Yeah, it's nothing. I mean, it's nothing to sneeze at. Listen, but it's not that great. Um, yeah.
How
So,
much royalties were we getting?
oh man, I gotta look. I'm maybe like $100 here and there.
Okay, okay. Hey, that's not bad. I like my royalties.
I know you like your royalties, Joe, but it was really not. It was really not too impressive. But anyway, because of this, we compromise. All right, we'll give it to you for 30,000 instead, and they were cool with that because again, it's just doesn't really matter at that point. So that brings us to the last step: close on the property. So they just send it to their title company. They handle the closing, and what you have is, like I said, we put $9,884 in. We got $27,281.63 out. That's after paying the realtor's fee, which was 6.5%, after paying the closing costs, etc. So what we wound up with was 17,397.14 of profit.
So, Mike, what are some things that if someone new was just going to go out and do this, send some mail tomorrow or next week, what are some things they need to know? Because it seems so simple on the surface, but surely there's a lot of details in between that you have to have a lot of background knowledge to make this work. Like you're talking about the mineral rights, the gas rights. It seems a little overwhelming to the newcomer.
Yeah, what I like to say is it's simple, but it's not easy. So, these things are kind of, I know off the back of my head now because I've just done it so much. But when I was talking about the hours that were, was put in for all this, like sending out mail, I know my strategy because I've worked at it and I know that it generates results. So it doesn't take me a lot of time now.
Mm-hmm.
Evaluating deals, this doesn't take me a lot of time now because I know what to look for, right? So even with this one picture, if somebody showed me this and they said, okay, what do you think about this deal? I can say I'm looking at how much road frontage there is. I can see that there's some slope, but the slope isn't totally across the property. Like the front of it is okay, but that's also what I'm going to have a land person go and do. They're going to check it out in real life and see what they think, and they're more familiar with like in some areas. I mean, think San Francisco. San Francisco, the whole thing is hills, so
right.
Nobody gives a shit that there's a slope.
Right.
They're just going to build on it. But if you're in a rural area, something having a huge slope can make a huge difference in the development cost and all that. So really the easy answer here is just have a local person go look at it and get their opinion and see how it matches up.
So at the end of the day, you don't have to know everything about every little area because you're sending someone out there to help out.
Yeah, exactly. Because they're going to know everything about that area.
Okay.
I could look at certain things and see off the top of my head, like if it's potentially good or not, if it's even worth pursuing, but they're going to be the one I'm going to trust to make the final call on like the exact pricing. Because maybe if this was flat,
yeah,
maybe if this configuration was a little bit different, like it was just more rectangular,
yeah,
those things could have a difference because it's more usable area. And then another thing is there's no zoning on this property, which to me, whenever I see that, I know that that's going to be it's going to be good because there's no zoning, so you can put whatever you want on it. So people with mobile homes, especially at this price point, I know somebody's going to buy this. Long story short.
Well, is it ever
just from experience
a situation where the zoning actually impacts it positively? Like it's zoned a certain way and it's, I guess, beneficial to have it zoned a certain way in that area?
Yeah, I mean, it's all relative, right? So like if we're in a more populated area and everything is zoned for single families and you just happen to buy a piece of property that for some reason got approved for a duplex.
Mm-hmm.
Now the best and highest, like the highest value, that property is a higher value because you can put a higher value thing on it.
Right.
You get what I'm saying?
Yeah.
So if no zoning is like the best that you can have,
right, because you could do anything.
you can do anything you want.
Nice.
Yeah. So yeah, really the answer is just have a local land realtor just go look at it, tell you what they think they're going to sell it for, and do you have a lot of room in between what you're buying it for and what they want to sell it for, with their fees, with all that, and you let it rip. So yeah, and excited again. We didn't take pictures of it ourselves. We didn't handle really the calls for it ourselves or anything. So just let it go.
Got it.
The one thing I wanted to point out, so from money in to money out, we sent the payment to the title company to buy the property on April 24th. We got the wire back with the $27,000 on June 7th. So our money was only held up for 44 days. And it actually should have been quicker, but we had that mineral rights issue. And I also wasn't getting emails from the other title company. So like they were trying to get stuff from me and I didn't answer because I didn't get their email.
Mm-hmm.
So this probably could have been cut down by a week or two. But overall, to get 176% return on your money in 44 days, that's what we call nothing to sneeze at, Joe.
Nothing to sneeze at, indeed. But people are sneezing at it because no one's really watching the stream here. But that's all right. I mean,
it is all right because I'll keep doing this quietly. I don't need hordes of people knowing about this. And that's what's fun, is that this is really what we call a rich ghost business. Because the wealthy land investor can be walking right next to you and you'll have no idea because you don't got to put your face online. You don't even have to talk to people if you choose not to. You can just wait for the purchase agreements to roll in, send them to your land guy, have him talk to the buyers, and then you're out.
Yeah, absolutely.
We don't got to keep this running too long.
No, should we see if we have any questions? People can ask some questions in the chat.
Yeah, if anyone has any questions in the chat, feel free to let it rip. Otherwise, people can go to buildassetsonline.com/playbook. We give a more detailed explanation of our land business in there, how it fits into our overall investment portfolio, and how you can do the same thing. So you're typing away there, Joe.
Yeah, I added a little banner that said, "Oh wait, fuck, you got rid of it." Oh, I cursed. I was trying to do this and ask questions in the chat. You see that?
Very nice, Joe.
I want to do a little ticker. Look at that.
What else is going on in your world? I see things are moving around in your little basement there.
I was trying to make a bit of a nicer setup for the audience today, so I thought moving my chest with all like the papers on it would help, but it's still in the camera, so it didn't really help too much. But yeah,
this is the issue, Joe. We're not flashy. You look like you're at White Castle. And you know what the truth is, when we retire at the age of 40, maybe I'll just get a job at White Castle just to interact with the real world again.
I mean, you know what I'm doing once I retire? I want to be a plumber.
How long does that take?
I don't know. I feel like you just get an apprenticeship and then you're on the job right away.
Well, yeah, right. I'm saying to go through the apprenticeship process.
I don't know. I mean, I'll just be happy being out there. I don't really care about passing the apprenticeship. You know, if I don't need
Um,
the money from plumbing, like I may as well just be the apprentice.
you got to graduate at some point, though. You can't just drag ass
Yeah, I don't know. I guess
unless you're really screwing up the jobs.
whenever I'm good enough. I don't know.
You don't think if you were doing that, you'd take like one good whiff of a screwed up septic system and say, hey, why am I doing this?
I might, but then I could say at least I tried. Let's
Hmm.
talk about what's on the docket for Build Assets Online because we've got a couple things I would say brewing in the pot right now. I think people should be excited about. So obviously today we're talking about land flipping. We've been talking about drop shipping ad nauseum, and we're going to continue to talk about it. But I think we're going to be bringing a couple other things to the table that are pretty exciting, frankly. We've been talking about land flipping here, which is a big part of our online asset portfolio. Local online marketing is something that we've been going into, and going to be more info on that as well. We're going to be collaborating with someone on it on a program about that. I think just really going back to our roots of building assets online. There was a time when we talked about Kindle. There was a whole slew of things that we talked about, and I feel like we went a little bit away from that. But I think maybe we're moving back in that direction.
Yeah, I mean, we realized that drop shipping was definitely the most accessible thing for the average person, and it has really high levels of success the way that we teach it with the high ticket. And yeah, we really leaned into that, quote unquote. But in reality, there are other things that we do in the background that we don't talk about as much, and we want to talk about them some more. We want to give people an opportunity to do them. You know, not just not just the big thing, but all the other little things that we do. Because yes, dropshipping makes up a good chunk of our income, but listen, we got other chunks coming in. This is just one of them. Again, our land business is certainly in full swing, and we do quite a lot with it, but we really just don't talk about it because we didn't want to give too many things at once to our audience. But now I think they're ready, Joe.
Yeah, yeah, and there's a lot of things, unfortunately, that are hard to teach because they're not like beginner business models, and you need like some prerequisites to get into them. So part of the challenge here is making something simple and easy enough to teach it.
Right. And I mean, also, what's good about dropshipping is like it is the true gateway drug into online business because you can make a sale out of nowhere for, you know, $10,000 or $5,000 or something, and then you make $1,000, and you don't have your money tied up like land investment, or you're not waiting for things to rank like with
Yeah,
SEO. So it can really teach you on the fly how online marketing works. And then once you've built the skill set, then you can go off and you can do other things. So we've actually seen many students of our dropshipping program go on to do land, and they all wind up being pretty successful with it. So
yeah,
but I say let's call it off here, Joe,
yep.
because
Let's call it a day.
we got deals to furnish, we got a basement to furnish, and looks like you were frozen for a second. But one last time, buildassetsonline.com/playbook. See how we use drop shipping, land investment, SEO, and create a mini private equity portfolio for ourselves that's worth over $1 million. How you can do the same. Buildassetsonline.com/playbook. You can take it or leave it. But as always, take it easy.
Take it easy.